Coach Gundy with us as we preview Iowa State, and it seems like the last couple of years in October, Iowa State really hit stride. It appeared they were struggling a bit on offense early this season, but they've not struggled lately.
They're playing well. Their quarterback's playing exceptionally well. I think he's a really good player. He's going to play in the NFL, in my opinion. And they stay in their system. You know, they're good at what they do. Matt does a nice job coaching them. And defensively, they've had really good success the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. You know, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has been. And they've limited most teams to not a lot of points. They're floating right around that 18 to 20 area. So that'll be a challenge for us. But we think we have a good idea of what to do. You know, we've seen this defense. Offensively, they're going to play with their tight end and their read zone game and their zone runs, and then they max protect and take their chances and throw it down the field. A lot of crossing routes underneath where they try to create a little bit of confusion in underneath drop coverage. So they're a good team with an experienced quarterback. So we'll need a really good week of practice and to go up there and play well on Saturday.
What's your best solution without saying too much to what they do on defense? They were sort of the trendsetters with this new approach.
Now most of the teams in this league are leaning their direction. You have to be effective in certain ways rushing the football, and then you have to be able to attack them downfield when you get their opportunities. They're built to not give you throws down the field. What they'll do this year is they'll blitz you more zone pressure blitzes than we've seen in years past. And I certainly expect them to do that to us. I think they'll come after us. They've adjusted some of their philosophies, and they're doing more of that now. And I would expect that they'll try to pressure us early in the game.
Stay with us. The Showdown Breakdown with Brandon Weeden is coming up. Get up, Cowboys. It's time to come together and save lives on campus during the annual Bedlam Blood Battle. Together, we're on a mission to save 750 lives during the week of November 18th through the 22nd. The locations include a Bloodmobile at the Student Union, the College of Human Science building, or a Bloodmobile at Kerr Drummond. All donors will receive a one-of-a-kind Bedlam shirt and additional offers. Visit OBI on social media for more information.
Whoa, that's crisp.
Crisp taste, brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light.
Living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/cowboysortho.
It's the Showdown Breakdown with former NFL and Cowboy quarterback Brandon Weeden as we get you ready for this weekend's game against Iowa State. You know, it's interesting. Turnovers have been a story for Oklahoma State, especially in recent weeks. 5 at Texas Tech and then 3 against Baylor. But you can make an argument if you take just one of those turnovers off the board in both of those games, it could have been an entirely different outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's usually a recipe for success. You either win the turnover margin, and by doing that on defense, you take the ball away, or protect it on offense. So that's got to be the main focus. It's been kind of the focus these last few weeks. I think that's, again, it starts with the quarterback. You got to take care of it, and you know, it's the hopes and dreams of this entire program. You know, you got to protect the football. But, you know, on defense, they got to find a way to get a couple as well. They got one early on Saturday, and I thought that was going to be a good recipe for them going forward. But, you know, again, it all comes down to possessing the football and big plays and taking care of it as the game goes on. What's the best thing Spencer Sanders can do to help himself right now? Again, just simplify it. I think, you know, sometimes as a quarterback, you start to press. If you're turning the ball over, you know, he's fumbled a couple times. Sometimes you can press and try to do too much and try to make every play. That doesn't need to be the case. I think you can, you know, slow the game down a little bit, take your easy throws, get your easy completions, and really, you know, not dwell on the past. Just look forward and continue to do the right things within the offense and within what they got planned for that week. Spencer Sanders is a redshirt freshman, so he's young, and with that obviously comes some growing pains. But does it also create an interesting, or unique, I should say, dynamic in the locker room? Because a lot of times that quarterback's the CEO of the team. You certainly were when you were here.
but he's young and he's struggling. What are the locker room dynamics possibly like right now from your experience?
That's the one thing I was talking to my wife about. This is the one thing I worry about. Obviously, Spencer's not the most vocal leader. So sometimes as a quarterback, when you're not vocal and you're not playing well, it's hard to be a leader because usually play dictates your leadership role and you can kind of lead by example. So the one thing I worry about is one, the leadership, the older players, the players that have made a lot of plays for this football team, offense and defense, is keeping the locker room together. Sometimes when things aren't going as well as they could, there's some guys talking about some things over here, maybe blaming this guy, pointing the finger over here, pointing at coaching, and that just causes all kinds of corrosion throughout the locker room. So I'm hopeful that these leaders can really take over the locker room, do the things they need to do to keep that unit tight, and say, let's go finish this thing. We're in this thing together. They went through all the hard work in the spring. Let's go out and finish this thing together, one step in front of the other, and it starts this week at Iowa State.
And Iowa State's a hot football team. In fact, the Cyclones haven't lost a game in October the last couple of years. You go back to 2017. They've really seemed to find their stride during this month. Defensively, good numbers, and they're the team that really set the standard for how to defend the spread hurry-up offense in the Big 12, and they're doing it again this year.
They are. I think they're averaging roughly 20 points a game, which is pretty good in the Big 12. That's actually really good. The one thing they do is they do what they do within their scheme extremely well. They've kind of been the innovator of this, split safety, 2-hole, 4-hole coverage that everybody's running now. And they just do it really well. They're pressuring a little bit more, so they're getting after the quarterback, and they're doing a pretty good job of stopping the run. They're a very fundamentally sound football team. Matt Campbell's got those guys playing hard. They don't make a ton of mistakes. They don't beat themselves very often. And on offense, the same deal. Brock Purdy's playing really good football. He's taking care of the ball. He's throwing the ball extremely well. He's running it when he needs to. It's just a good, fundamentally sound football team that you're going to have to play a pretty solid game to go on the road and beat a good football team like this.
And what they did to Texas Tech last week in their 34-24 win is really an example as to how balanced they can be on offense. First half was all about passing. I think they had maybe 37 yards rushing in the first half. Then the second half, they totally flip it. They rush the ball very effectively, get right around 150 yards, I think, on the ground in the second half. They win the game by 10 points. So that's a classic example. They'll just take what the defense gives them. And to me, it seems like the Tech game was an example of that.
Yeah, you're spot on. As an offensive coordinator, I got to imagine when you can run the ball that way and still throw the football effectively, your play sheet doesn't shrink. It almost expands because you feel like you can almost call anything. And that's a luxury. I think, every offense kind of goes into every game wanting to be balanced, wanting to be able to run the football, obviously, to take some heat off the passing game. But when you can do both well and, you run the ball and you throw the ball that well effectively early and then you can run the ball late and close out a game, that's pretty much how every coach wants to draw it up. So that's as far as Oklahoma State, they got to find a way to, stop one of the two, make them one-dimensional, and that's your recipe for beating a team like Iowa State.
It is the Cowboys and Iowa State on Saturday, and Ames kickoff at 2:30. That's the Showdown Breakdown. Thanks for watching.